Welcome to Dualshock'd, the Brotherhood of Geeks PlayStation podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brett J. Rasmussen, and over here I got my other co-host,
Captain Blaz.
Captain Blaz.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Well, I do own a sailboat.
Oh.
So I can say that.
Oh, okay.
I have been a captain.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Hey, I prefer the privateering life because that way I get paid to be a pirate by the government as opposed to just trying to, screw off on my own.
Yo ho, privateering for me.
There you go.
I
just take out a stab you.
Just like, but yeah, anyway.
Steal your rubies.
Kalima!
Yeah, pretty much.
Kalima! So how have you been doing, Blaze? How you been doing?
Pretty good. Like recently, as far as like what I've been gaming, I downloaded the Hitman Complete first season.
Funsies.
So I've been playing that. I'm 2 missions in. I got a Silent Assassin rank on the first real mission. And then almost on the second, so I'm going to probably redo it. But now that I beat it, I have like other options. Because it's like, it's pretty in-depth, like, that game. Like, and I've always been a fan of the Hitman series, and I've always wanted to play the Complete first season, even though 2 is already out. But I just never ended up buying it, but then it ended up being free, so I was just like, well, hell yeah.
There you go.
And because I love stealth games, so.
Oh, yeah. You played Dishonored, haven't you?
I beat the first one, yeah.
Oh,
I never played any of the other ones.
Why haven't you played the other ones?
I just
haven't had the time?
I just haven't got... I mean, it's not like I'm actively not playing them. I just have enough other games I already own that I still have to beat.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, I get you. I totally understand that. But dude, Dishonored 2 is rad.
Oh, no, I've heard it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I just haven't gotten around
Even
to
the little, like, kind of side game, Death of the Outsider.
I heard that
one's
was
really
good, too.
That one's really good. But yeah, just, it's more story, more Dishonored. You like Dishonored, it's more of it.
Oh, yeah, it's a good game.
But yeah, so for me, as I said, we on our last episode we reviewed Kingdom Hearts 3, and now I'm kind of just doing some cleanup, going for platinum runs on that, and I also this past like weekend or week of release has just been like this past on the I believe on the 12th or no on the 15th. On the 15th we had like 4 games come out. We had Far Cry New Dawn, Metro Exodus, Jump Force, and the Xbox exclusive Crackdown 3. And I went ahead and picked up Far Cry New Dawn. Started playing that a little bit.
How is it?
Great. It's
I
really...
still have to beat 5. I'm on like the tail end of it. I just have been lazy about it.
Oh, dude, like the ending of it is really good. Really good. And there are 2 endings. There's
there was in 3 too.
Was there? Oh yeah, there was in 3. Yes, there was.
Where you get murked while like getting laid.
Yep. That was.
I just find it
that was interesting.
Well, I did like the giant ink monster fight. That was cool. When you take those drugs and you just have to basically fight a hallucination. But like as a side, like the thing, because that's my favorite Far Cry. I haven't.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I've never played through all of 4. That is one I've been meaning to play, but I have played a little bit of it. But like the thing with 3 is like at the very end of it, they give you the option. It's like to basically make one of the 2 choices that gives you one of those endings. But it's like literally your entire purpose throughout the whole game is to save your friends, and at the very end you're just going to decide to just say screw you.
No.
Like, it's a great game. The story's fine. It's just like, but that just seems so, like, what was the whole point of everything you've done up until this point where you're just going to throw it away? What, to get laid? Like, I don't understand.
No, I mean...
Like, what, to become king of the village? Like, you end up getting killed. Like,
you do, like, meet up with her, and, like, you have that whole thing, but, like, really when Voss dies, when you like kill off Voss, like that's not the end of the game. There's
I know. Like beating it.
You find out that there's like a bigger baddie.
Yeah, Hoyt.
Yeah,
and who gives a shit about him?
I know. And
like he literally just like, dude, Voss is like one of the best villains ever, and then like all of a sudden this Hoyt character's supposed to just replace him, and he's just boring and only shows up in like the last third of the game.
Like fourth, last third or fourth.
Yeah,
whatever.
and it's like you have no investment in his character.
That's why, and honestly, like that's why in five does a really good job.
Yeah, no, 5 is great. Like you're constantly like from the beginning the father's the main bad guy, and then he's got his subordinates who are part of his family.
And each of the subordinates are very interesting.
As opposed to the first, and like the third one sets up Voss, and he's just such a badass villain, and then all of a sudden, literally with like barely any notice. There was some bigger bad guy all out of nowhere that you've never heard of, and now you have to try to be invested in him. It's like I don't give a shit about this guy.
Yeah,
like who cares? Like I know nothing about him except the fact that he was Voss's boss.
Yeah,
that's literally the only defining characteristic. And he's just this plain-looking European white male and has nothing special. Like he doesn't. I mean, the fight with him was okay, but it's just like there's still no weight behind it because. Literally, almost the whole game, you're against Voss, and he shows up and just fucks with you.
No, which is like you have the whole the famous where he's like hanging you upside down.
Right.
He talks about the famous
what is insanity?
Is doing the same effing thing over and over and
right because he's like crazy, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what it's so good.
I mean, and like in 5, you can get the Voss printed tee as one of the clothing items.
Mm-hmm.
Although I got the Omega suit for the Blood Dragon mission.
Oh, nice.
So that's the only thing I will
ever wear.
Yeah,
Blood Dragon.
I need to play. I want it so bad. I'm gonna have to buy Xbox Live and try to get it on my 360 because other than the compilation disc, there's no other way to get it.
No, yes there is.
You can buy it on Steam.
No,
well you can.
No, it's on current. It's on current gen. It's on PS4 and Xbox One.
Are you serious?
It's on
just
PlayStation.
Blood Dragon.
Just Blood Dragon? In order to get Blood Dragon, you buy the...
Well, how much is the compilation pack?
I could probably quickly look that up right now. It's you buy Far Cry 3 and get all the DLC.
All right.
That's what it is, because, you go... Let me see.
Don't even worry about it. I'll look it up later.
Okay, well... But yeah, definitely, it's all there. You get all of the DLC. That was with the season pass for...
5.
Far Cry 5. Yeah. So if you get the season pass, you get not only all the new DLC for.
The only reason I didn't end up, I was gonna get the big boy edition, but at the point where I had it, I didn't have enough space, so I didn't even bother with it. But yeah. So essentially, Far Cry 3 is a great game if you haven't played it.
Far Cry 3 is rad. Far Cry 3 is awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, that's kind of what.
That one scene where you burn down a pot field to Skrillex.
Oh, that one's great.
And the fact that Noisia did the soundtrack, and they're my all-time favorite electronic artists. All the background music you hear.
So you loved Face My Fears from Kingdom Hearts 3 then, because that was Skrillex and Utama.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh hell yeah. Well, I love both of those artists.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, that was such a fire track. Oh my god.
I honestly, because I've never really been a fan of Skrillex.
Skrillex, okay, I'm kind of polarized with Skrillex. He's I've grown to like him much more. When I first got in, because I'm a huge electronic music fan, and when I first got into dubstep, Skrillex's Reptiles theme was he pretty much brought dubstep into the mainstream of America, at least to some degree.
Yeah.
Because I did a research paper on EDM culture and history, so it's it started in '92 in the UK with the rave scene and. Then it came from UK garage style, and then it eventually developed. And I forgot the name of the guy who coined it, but the term dubstep, because dub is a reggae term. Yeah. The term dubstep was coined in '92, and it was some of the OGs would be the Plastician, Magnetic Men, people like that.
Okay.
But anyway, he's been able to maintain his relevance. You got to give him credit. And he used to be in a rock band.
Huh.
From first to last. He was in his name is Sonny Moore, that's his real name.
Huh.
And he was in he was the lead singer of a rock band from California.
Well, I mean, mind you, he's doing well for himself now.
Oh yeah. he's doing way better than he ever was in that band.
Oh yeah.
There's a reason. You haven't never heard of that band, but you've heard of Skrillex.
You heard of Skrillex.
So there you go.
Oh yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Let's get this going. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin with, like we always do, News of the Nation! All right, but anyway, let's go ahead and get this started. So, our first topic, Apex Legends has hit 25 million total players. Apex Legends is the new Battle Royale game made by Respawn from from EA, and pretty much has saved EA from pretty much continuing a downward fall. But this is what I got. So, Apex Legends has reached 25 million total players since its debut last week. So it debuted the week before Valentine's Day. So that would be like, I believe that was like on...
Well, the week before Valentine's Day would be the 7th.
Well, but within that week. So I think it was like the 4th or 5th or something. It was...
Probably.
Something like that. It's very, it was sometime last week. Yeah, of February. The Battle Royale has hosted 2 million concurrent players during its peak over the weekend. So that would be within the weekend of the 8th, 9th, and 10th of February. With that, there's upcoming events that will be including the Twitch Rivals Challenge. There's a Valentine's Day content update and the beginning of Season 1. The Twitch Rivals Apex Legends Challenge will feature some of the most popular streamers competing. There has been Valentine's Day themed content that'll be up for a limited time. And then in March will be the beginning of Season 1. So this is just saying... This is taking everyone from Fortnite and playing this.
I personally, I'm not like obsessed with it, but I've been playing it and I find it pretty fun. I enjoy it. I like the team-based aspect of it, though I only know that the only reason that they made it team-based is so that you get your friends to play, which increases the overall number of players. That's literally, I know that's the reason they did it.
But yeah, no,
I still enjoy it, but it's just so that more people would get more people to play it.
But you still could have. But here's the best part about it is that
you can choose to just go off on your own.
No, you can't. But you have fun winning.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, actually, the first game I ever played, my team died within the first 10 minutes, and I survived by just walking around till 2 groups were left. I literally couldn't find anybody. I wasn't even trying to hide. I literally walked around and didn't find a single person until the very end. And the circle was like this big. Like the game was about to be over. Mm-hmm. There was like 2 groups. So there was like a total of like 6 people. Plus me just by myself.
Yeah.
And I was Wraith. And I may have even won but I didn't quite understand how her abilities worked. Because I had just started playing. Yeah. And they give you that crappy tutorial, man. That tutorial in the game.
I've never played it, so please explain.
Well, it's not okay. It's not terrible, but they give you the tutorial you play as the healing character. But it's like you get to do a few shooting things. Like they teach you the basics of the movement and how things kind of work. But it's like it wasn't nearly as in depth as it should be. There should be like a training mode so you can actually learn how to use these characters. That's the one thing that's like a pet peeve of mine. It's so difficult to become good at a game like that when the only practice you receive is in the middle of a firefight. You can't really learn. Eventually by default you'll know, but it's like you don't there's no way to practice and become good with a character. Just even if it's online, just have an open sandbox mode where you could just learn their ability. It's like a combination of Overwatch, Destiny, and Borderlands, basically. You get different attachments for guns, you get different types of guns. Yeah. Every character has a unique ability where the Overwatch comes in. And then there's the team-based and the Battle Royale aspect, so it's just the whole, I'm not going to say Fortnite because it's not, they didn't start the Battle Royale thing.
No, it's now...
It was essentially, I think PUBG was essentially...
No,
brought it into prominence.
Battle Royale games have been around for a long time.
Well, yeah, any arena shooter is technically a Battle Royale
game.
Quake. You could say Quake was the first Battle Royale game. Mm-hmm. But, they brought the idea of the 100-man...
PUBG is the one that brought it to the forefront.
They, set the standard of, what a Battle Royale game is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I like it, though.
Yeah.
It's the thing with Fortnite, the reason I don't like it is because it bores me. It's just boring. I don't like the shooting mechanics. I don't like I don't mind... It's not that I have to... I'm not against third-person shooting in general... But I do not like the way it's set up. I hate aiming in the game, and there's really there's no real story to it, and I don't know. It's just every game is the same thing. The building aspect is cool and all, and they have some different modes other than just the main battle royale. But it's just there's nothing there's nothing to get me invested. I like the look of Apex better. I like the modular nature of the weapons, all of the different items you can get. Like having abilities, so like uniquely using a character will give you an ability that like may or may not help you over another character.
What do you think about the ping system? Because one of the
that's a great idea.
one of the things
you could just like say this is where we're gonna go, or here's this, and it automatically tells.
One of the problems with battle royales in general is that like if you die, you're pretty much out. Either you can go ahead and pretty much be a spectator and watch,
or just start another game.
Or just you have to tell your friends.
But you have the opportunity to come back into the game if your teammates decide to bring you back.
And because in this game,
because you have to defeat the whole team.
Yes, and honestly, there's reasons to stay in it, not only to be like, all right, well, I'm just going to sit here and wait.
Experience.
Well, it's not but what I mean is like when you're dead, you can actually ping, what I've heard, I could be wrong, is that when you're dead, you can actually help your teammates to ping to different
ping locations.
And
so you can do that anytime.
You can ping, there's a weapon cache near you. Go get that better gun, or there's an enemy over there. Get that guy, which keeps you invested into the game even when you're dead.
Right, like you're still a part of the team, and and it's to their benefit to have you alive because that means that the survivability to winning the game, the more you want to have a 3-member team because each member of your team has to be killed. So the more members there are, the less likely are you're going to lose outright. Because as soon as you all die, it's over.
Yeah, which then you go, all right, well,
next game.
Mm-hmm. Your 3 friends, maybe if it's...
Well, I usually play with random people because, I don't have enough, and it can be like I mean, I have, come across, some people use mics, some don't. I have, a cheap mic that I've never had a use for until now. Mm-hmm. It is easier to coordinate with a mic, but there's a lot of times where people just don't use mics because I usually don't. Yeah. So you just gotta kind of, figure out what you're doing and just stick together and visually,
Yeah, I mean...
or you can have a mic and they can hear you, and then you just kind of wait for their reactions based off what you say.
Yeah, and Apex Legends, I love Titanfall, and this is...
essentially its spiritual successor.
It's in-universe.
Oh, yeah.
It's in-universe, Respawn has said, this is in-universe to Titanfall, which I find that very interesting, and I really do hope that there is an actual Titanfall 3, and that it is put into its right place instead of sandwiched between Call of Duty and Battlefield, like Titanfall 2 was. That made me
I think everybody's pretty much done with Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 wasn't the most well received. I haven't played it. 4 is good. I played a little bit of it, but
people are really liking the free to play aspect of games.
Right, the only thing you pay for, and I also I do like Apex Legends because the leveling system has a purpose.
What is the purpose?
As you level up, you can unlock different skins and and you're not paying for it. You get different outfits and skins or finishing moves.
Oh, so you actually get them instead of when you level, you unlock the ability to buy them.
Right, yeah, no, as you level up, you get basically, it's almost like in World War II, Call of Duty, how they had those drop packs that would it's like that.
Oh, okay.
But what you unlock, and just like World War II, you unlock them through progression.
Well, the last thing I have to say about this before we move on is that I really this game came out, and this is really everything you see in that game is because of Respawn, not because of EA.
Oh yeah.
You see all the cosmetics, all the loot boxes, all of that. You see the drop rates of all the different rarities, and then you also see the what is specifically in said loot box. Mm-hmm. So there's I think there are multiple different loot boxes in it. And then if you go ahead and press triangle for details or whatever, you can see what's all in it, and then you can see the drop rates of each item in it.
And when people drop weapons after being killed, you can search through their thing and just pick out what you want, and increase backpack size. There's just a lot of aspects.
That's a thing of Respawn.
And I love being able to gain speed while sliding downhill.
Yeah. And I do worry that now this has saved EA from continuing to just kind of fall.
Right.
Their stocks
have Titan falls.
Haha. Yeah. And
if EA ever fails, someone needs to call it when a Titan falls.
Oh yeah. But I really hope that EA just lets Respawn do their thing, stay behind, I know this is me being optimistic, and it won't happen because we'll see. We'll see, and like
well, you know what? If EA comes in and screws it up, then they're just going to be at a huge loss.
Yep.
And you know what? And I hope that'll be you know what? If they do, I want that to be the final nail in their coffin. Because honestly, I don't need EA.
Yeah.
Because what have they done? They haven't done anything.
They've again. We've talked about this on multiple different episodes and stuff, and like it sucks, and
it does. But it's like after a certain point, I'm not going to try to look at it with rose-colored glasses and be like, you either do what you're supposed to as far as like making games at all, or not screwing everyone else over and just worrying about your bottom line.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, then go out of business because the gaming industry doesn't need that.
Yeah, well...
There's enough indie developers to take your place.
Yeah. Well, but yeah. But let's go ahead and move on. Next topic. PlayStation's Sean Layden says to never underestimate Nintendo. Now, this past weekend, where we're recording this on February 16th, and within these past few days, or this past weekend, was the 2019 DICE Summit and the DICE Awards, which is the big developers convention. Mm-hmm. I think it's like the Developers International Convention of Entertainment or something. I'll have to look that up. Let me just quickly pull that up. Well, I'll put it into the description. But anyway, it's a big, huge developers conference, and it's kind of to celebrate all of the different developers. I'm getting this from IGN, and this is pretty much during the keynote. Sean Layden, we brought this up on a past episode who was going to be in the keynote for it, but during the DICE 2019 keynote, Sony's Sean Layden talked about how Nintendo and Microsoft are improving the industry. From Sean Layden, quote, "The best-selling console of 2018 in the US was the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo took a massive risk when they brought this to the market. People thought Nintendo might one day be out of the hardware business. People would say things like, kids play games on mobile phones and tablets. Dedicated portable gaming is dead and gone. But, as I've said before, never underestimate Nintendo. All of us are better for their efforts." And then later in the speech, Layden then discussed Microsoft's Xbox adaptive controller. Quote, "It is our responsibility to continue to broaden the tent, to continue to ensure that everyone can play. All are welcome here. We must keep striving to make games more accessible, as Xbox has done with its adaptive controller, and how we," which he's talking about PlayStation, "have had the privilege with our software titles," meaning how... like God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, in like all Infamous, like pretty much all their big worldwide studios exclusive titles have been just massively critically and commercially received so highly and so well. Mm-hmm. So which is awesome. So I mean, what do you think about that place?
Well, I think that I mean, well, first of all, yeah, you should never underestimate Nintendo. They've been in the game longer than almost everybody.
Yep.
Like, I mean, if you think about it, like. They preceded the gaming industry, like, pretty much before, other than, like, the Magnavox Odyssey, which was technically the first system ever, but, or Atari.
Yeah.
But, Atari's logo was developed by an American?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, but I think that's cool. I mean, like, he's right. I mean, and I totally agree, like, the idea of having an adaptive controller, like, when I was going to school for, like, graphic design, I had class in user interface design, and accessibility is like number one. Like that's like you basically, because not only does it help you in the sense that you're going to make more money because more people will have the ability to play your game that they normally wouldn't have because you're making special accommodations for them, and that there's still a customer. But it's also like the what's the word I'm looking for? It adds to like the idea of your company culture, like being conscientious of the fact that, someone with a disability, like an example with the adaptive controller, someone who has a disability still could love or be great at playing games. They just can't use the conventional controller that people like let's say if I lost an arm. You know, it would be a pain in the ass to try to use a controller. I wouldn't really be able to play to the fullest, and it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
But you find other ways to make it accessible, and not only does that improve your bottom line, but it also improves your standing in the social consciousness of you care. Obviously, one would hope that that's not like a facade, and you're not doing it simply because you want to look good, but because you want people of all walks and abilities to be able to enjoy your product.
Oh yeah, and excuse me. I love when the Nintendo Switch when they first announced it. I'm like, this system's gonna be rad, and
I knew it was gonna be huge. The idea of combining a home and a portable system. That was
amazing.
The thing. That was the whole selling point.
And one of the problems with the Wii U is that
it was just an intermediary system until they came out with the
really,
Switch.
Yeah. And the way they marketed the Wii U was towards kids. That was incorrect, and they wanted it to be portable, but you truly couldn't because you had to be within range of the box itself that was connected to your TV. Where then this time they just went, oh, it's a tablet. You can literally take it on the go. The box is
and the dock is just so you can put it on your television screen.
Exactly, which is perfect. And then with Microsoft, I love the commercial
the fact that they went back to cartridge.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was an interesting move.
It's cartridge, but it's a chip. It's a
right, because it can hold. I don't think it would be able to hold as much as a disc, just based off of how technology works. But if they can fit it on a small thing, that you're not going to want a disc-based game if you're on the go.
No,
cartridge, there's less way to damage it. You can't really scratch it. You just pop it in and out.
Yeah.
You're not as an example with the PSP.
Yeah.
Where it was a disc within a box because there's really, no other way to do it. But it would be trying to bring a GameCube disc with you and hope it doesn't get destroyed or cracked. You could put it in your pocket. You could put a chip in your pocket and nothing's gonna happen.
Yep.
Put a disc in your pocket and you sit down wrong, you're gonna break it.
Yep, exactly. With the adaptive controller, I love the commercial that they showed. There's a commercial
with
Xbox
the kid?
did with the kids.
Yeah.
With the kids, it was they were all like, "Oh, it's time!" and they all go over to their friend's house, and their friend is disabled. I don't know.
He had some sort of thing, and he was missing part of his limb.
Yeah,
and
there's multiple other commercials that Microsoft and Xbox have done of just actually showing people in real life, not just just the commercial, but real life people who are dealing with disabilities.
Well, and it's like in the first one you mentioned, with the one specific kid, and there was a few other kids. He's just his parents were basically saying, it's he's obviously different, but when he games, he's no different. He can still that's what he enjoys doing, and it makes him he can still compete with everybody he plays with because he has the ability to play using that adaptive controller.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in that vein, he is no different than them, and he enjoys that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a way for him to relate to other people that up until the creation of that controller, he really wouldn't have had a way to at least effectively play most video games that had any kind of complexity.
Yeah, and look, that's the one thing I love about the video game industry as a whole is just how inclusive. When the video game industry does come together, you truly do see it, and it's nothing like anything inside of any other.
It's
media
it's my favorite
or
form of
community.
Entertainment for a reason, and it's the biggest form of entertainment. Movies are going to shit. Let's be real. When's the last time a really good movie came out?
I mean, I can go ahead. Mind you, I like a lot of stuff.
Well, so do I, but I'm just saying, when compared to how many great games come out, movies are mostly. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't. There's always an exception, but from what I've seen in the past few years, there's very few good films that end up being good when they come out. Most of them, they're just reboots. They're existing properties put in movie form, or rehashes, or long forgotten sequels, but mostly reboots, or life piece stories on famous people.
Yeah, I get you.
That they could and I am interested to see it because they're making a movie about Tolkien.
I saw. Yeah,
yeah, but the thing is, I didn't even hear about it. I just saw a trailer for it. It's it's already coming out in May. It's I didn't even hear about it. It's they're just pumping this shit out. I'm not saying it won't be a good movie because I don't know. It looks like it could be good, but it's basically they just it's either they do what I said, or they're gonna make something that they know that Academy is gonna eat up, like just some, La La Land, or and despite the fact that they may or may not be good movies, it's just being made so that they can get money. It might be good as a result, but that's only because they know how to play the strings of the Academy. The people who decide what movies are good and bad, like, you never even see their faces.
Oh yeah.
Like, what's the point? Like, who the fuck are they? Like, what are they even, like? I don't even know whose opinion is, like, determining, like, who gets this award. There's Leonardo DiCaprio didn't even get an Oscar until The Revenant, which was a fantastic film, but it's like he had plenty of Oscar-worthy performances before that.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, the main example.
No, I get you. And, like, again, but
when it comes to games, like, consistently, it's like literally every year it gets better. That's the beauty of games.
Oh, that's what I love about the video game industry.
Because it can only get better.
Exactly.
But the thing is, almost every movie right now it's all literally, if you see the set of a Marvel film, it's just one big green screen. It's literally nothing but CGI. Barely any way to. I mean, I'm not saying they're not good, but there's barely any practical effects anymore.
Mind you, the way Naughty Dog and a lot of Sony is interactive. So there's a lot of games now being made are in these big, huge warehouses.
Well, yeah, but that makes sense because it's mocap. Like, they're doing that for the ability to create a we know going into a game it's completely digital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a reason The Thing is one of my favorite movies, because the practical effects, they were like real.
Yeah.
And it's amazing as a result.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. But just all in all, to bring this back together, is that this is just saying that the video game industry as a whole, as a community, when it comes together, it truly does come together. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy that Sean Layden does recognize what Xbox and Nintendo have been doing as part of the video game industry, saying that both of them are needed along with PlayStation to continue to move the video game industry forward. But let's move on. Next topic. PlayStation Sean Layden discusses what Sony has learned from PS3's mishaps. This also comes from IGN. This is also during the DICE Summit that was done at the same time. This is also during his keynote. Sony Sean Layden discussed how missteps with the PS3 led to changes to the PS4. Layden discussed 3 different lessons that Sony learned in game development. Quality above all, embracing new ideas, and what people want to play. From Sean Layden, quote, PlayStation 2 was an industry triumph. It remains one of the best selling points of all time. But coming off the heels of that was PlayStation 3, a stark moment of hubris in the nearly 25 years of PlayStation history. As we sometimes call it, PS3 was our Icarus moment. For our business, the fall was sharp. We hadn't listened to our customers. We created a devilish development environment. We reacted too slowly, and our network was underdeveloped. And worst of all, if you remember, was the price point. We doubled our efforts to develop incredible games and strengthened our partnerships for the next generation. We listened to developers and gamers. We created the PS4, a console for developers as much as it was for fans. We focused on the quality of our games, on making titles that would stand the test of time, the way that best pieces of art often do. And I love the way he ended that quote.
Games are art.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It's just moving art. Any creation, you could call art.
Yes.
But yeah, like, especially visually, music. It's a combination. It's like just like a movie, but even more so, because the art is also in how it's played. That's what separates it from a film, is the active, engaging aspect of, like, you're involved with it. Even if you're playing like a Telltale game, you're still more involved than you would be. I mean, outside, and even now with, like, Bandersnatch and all, like, that's starting to change as well, because basically, like I said, like, video games definitely dominate as far as the entertainment industry is concerned, especially with VR. I mean, it's still not prominent because of its price point.
Yeah.
And it's not like holodeck level, but we're on our way there.
Yeah.
And now the movie industry or the film, Netflix, they're basically seeing that, interactive entertainment is the future. Like, not to say that watching a static film is not going to go out of style. Like,
no.
Sometimes you don't want to be interactive. You just want something great put before you that you can appreciate without having to do anything.
Yeah.
But more often than not, people are more fulfilled either consciously or subconsciously when they have an active role in their entertainment and their art.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Because one of the reasons why I've been such a PlayStation fan is of
Because their
how.
logo is sexy.
Yeah,
It
of
is.
course. I mean, it is.
It's my favorite logo.
I get you, but really,
Just saying.
it's because of their exclusives. There's their first party games.
Yep, that's why I got one.
The way they look at their worldwide studios and they see them as like, they do see them as works of art, and it has been proven to like even in the year 2018, God of War won Game of the Year from multiple different outlets, including
Basically,
us.
one Game of the Year before it even released.
Oh yeah,
Like people were basically like awarding it before it even released. Like it's just going to be Game of the Year. I mean,
it has to be.
Yeah.
But like even at the DICE Awards, it was named Game of the Year, and the best character was Kratos. And like that's props to them. And like people have argued that Kratos is like just a one-dimensional character before.
Well, I mean, to some degree,
before this game.
Yeah.
Before this game. Now I've been on the.
But that was always the point. I feel in the first few games, like because it was a revenge mission. He's a god of war. If you think about it, a lot of the deities were one dimensional. Like it's just like Zuth is a wrathful, lustful, and it's like that was just but but with Kratos, it was a created character that they had the ability to develop outside of like a fenced-in personality based off of they're just drawing upon historical myth to fill the world.
And Kratos really is truly a fallen hero.
Yeah. I mean, he started out, he was a warrior to begin with, and then he ended up murdering his family, spoilers, and then he has to walk around with their ashes on his skin as a reminder.
But again, he's always been a pawn of the gods. Right. So that, again, that's like Kratos's
He's Zeus' son.
Yeah, and like what I love about like PlayStation especially is just how they know they messed up with the PS3. The PS3.
That's why I didn't get a PS3.
Like
I got the 360.
I love my PS3. I've been a PlayStation. Like I had a PS1.
I started as Xbox and I've moved over.
Yeah. But like really, like I love my PS3 and I've been a PlayStation fan. Like very much hard in the paint to PlayStation fan since the PS3. I had a PS1, then I went to Xbox, and then I went back to PS3. And I do understand like that was definitely a rough time, like because the Xbox 360 was cheaper and
it had just as many games.
Yeah, just as many games, and like
not to mention the exclusives, like when Gears of War was first coming out, and like system sellers, Forza, Halo.
Yep, and really it wasn't up until probably about the last few years of the PS3. Really, I would say when God of War 3 came out, that's when it started to pick up steam. But I'm very, very happy. That's why I love my PS4 is that like their exclusive games are all built. Like I'm very much a narrative. I love narratives in games, and I see them as art. So the way they take care of their games and the way they take care of their developing teams, the companies that develop for them, their worldwide studios, Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, that kind of stuff, and how kind of open they are with them is what I do love about that. And really, they like when they announced the PS4, they said we messed up. We wanted to be more friendly to developers, and we want gamers to play on it. And that's why when we've talked about that there may the rumor is that in the next when the PS5 comes out, it's going to be backwards compatible because of the patent that they published in January of this year. So like that would make sense and that would be awesome.
Well, that was one of the main reasons the PS3 was even viable for me, is because the first one had backwards compatibility.
Yes.
But it was also the worst one of all of the models.
Yep. But,
which, I mean, being the first one, I can't really fault them for that.
Yeah.
I have a 360S, which essentially was like the third Xbox model, but they finally kind of resolved the hardware issues with the red rings and stuff. And then with the PS3, you had the yellow light.
Yeah. Yep.
God, let's just take a moment to be thankful that we don't have to deal with that kind of shit anymore.
I know.
I haven't even thought about that, but it's like in a modern console, you don't have to worry about it just going to shit out of nowhere after enough use and having to send it back in. Like, thank goodness.
But yeah, I'm very happy about that. But let's go ahead and continue. Next topic. Activision Blizzard begins laying off workers. And I've gotten this source from Kotaku, from Jason Schreier, who's a very well-known journalist in the video games industry, wrote this article from Kotaku. Ahead of its fourth quarter earnings report, Activision Blizzard has started the process of laying off members of its own staff. During the call, it said that the drawdown will affect approximately 8% of its workforce, or nearly 800 employees. I think the specific number is about, I believe it's like 778, about that. So again, almost 800. Teams working on Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Overwatch, Warcraft, Hearthstone, and Diablo are planned to grow approximately 20% over the year. In the Activision Blizzard fourth quarter earnings report, it cited record net revenues of $7.5 billion for 2018. However, the operating cash flow was down significantly from 2017, from $2.1 billion last year to $1.79 billion for the year ending in December of from the year ending December 31st, 2018. So yeah, what do you think about that, man?
I mean, it just doesn't really make any sense, I guess. Like, I mean, if like it's like if they're making all that money, why would they have to lay so many people off? And again, they're probably not laying developers off.
No, they have. So just to kind of continue on with this, in the article, it has been stated that Activision are giving the people who have been laid off, they have been giving them severance packages, and
well, that's good.
They've been giving them severance packages. The ability to help them to find other jobs in the industry. It's not like they just cut them off.
Well, yeah, then yeah. I mean, I wasn't aware of that. If that's the case, then I don't think it's as bad. It's probably because, I mean, after a certain amount of time, maybe, and especially because they've kind of been suffering lately with, the releases of their games and, just backlash from, like, discontinuing online services.
Bungie leaving them was a big thing.
That's one of the biggest names. But, since Halo, I mean, I know there's another one coming out, but Halo's popularity will never reach the heights that it used to have.
Oh, I agree.
That's because it was, like, the first of its kind. Like, you never saw a game like Halo before. Especially when Halo 2 came out.
Oh, yeah.
But I think eventually a company will need to restructure. And so I don't see it as necessarily, like, an evil thing. Like, if they're taking care of the people that they're laying off, then that's sometimes you got to. Maybe they or it's just like maybe they're like trying to do that so they can stay afloat as a business long term. Because if they're not, they're laying off like office workers and things of that.
Yes, they did not.
That's something you may not. That's probably not required. They don't need 800 office workers when their main concern at this moment is putting out good games, and they can't afford to pay all those people like continuous wages for something that really isn't going to ensure the company's future.
Yeah, I mean, they have axed people from the esports circuits. These are people who are pretty much are not part of they kept every part of the development department. They did not cut out anything from the developing department, but they've cut other places. Now, the problem that I have with this is that we talked about this on.
I mean, I still think it sucks that.
Oh yeah, and I truly feel
I don't think it's a good thing.
I truly feel bad for the people who have been fired. And the problem is that like. People were ready for this, but it was still unexpected.
Right.
It wasn't like, hey, you're going to get fired, prepare yourself. It very much was when they did it. It's not
real until it's real.
Exactly.
Right.
It was like, I feel bad for the people who did get fired. I don't know how I feel about this because we talked about this on our Is Activision Falling Apart episode where they hired a new CFO, and his bonus for getting hired was like I believe $15 million just to become the CFO. And I don't know how I feel about that because part of me goes, screw that, that's dumb. Why would you give the CFO just here's 15 mil just to be hired here, where you could take that money and spread it further down the tree to give more money to your developers, to your IT and the esports and like all the other parts of Activision that you feel you guys like, because they keep needing to downsize. That's the whole thing. And it's even been said with like, Blizzard is under new management, and really it feels like Blizzard, people who have been working for Blizzard forever have said that it feels like Activision is kind of running the show now, which it looks like it kind of is. And I don't know how I feel about that, because like on one hand, I hate it that the CFO just got here's 15 mil to the bigwig up top.
Yeah,
where you have
someone who's already making an insane amount of money.
But then you have to go ahead and cut out these guys. But you also have to look at it this way, and I kind of had a little bit of a revelation. Again, this is a business. And
that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
It's a business. You like, in order to keep a business going, sometimes you have to make a hard decision.
But also, it's not like it's hard because we're just guys who love the video game industry and who report on the video game industry. We're not bigwigs. We're not corporate salesmen. That's not our thing. So from our standpoint, this looks stupid. But like, also you have to look at it as these are guys who have to make massive decision that affects the entire company, that affects everyone. So, like, it's not like, I decide to do this and, nothing happens. A good or bad thing happens, but it only affects one person. No, if they make a bad choice, it affects everyone. And Activision is making poor decisions year after year after year after year. And it's been proven, and it's been seen, and people are not on board with that. If you look at all of the microtransactions in Call of Duty and how fans are not happy with that, and it's a $60 game, plus you need to get the season pass, plus there's microtransactions in order to get anything, and then loot boxes, and then you have to pay in order to play the challenges just to open up the
basically
challenges.
Like, how much money can they squeeze out of you?
Exactly, where you have these free-to-play games, and yes, I'm not a fan of microtransactions as a whole, but at least with a free-to-play game, you're
well, like, I don't mind the option of microtransact. Like, if you want to purchase things, that's one thing, but if you have to after already having the game in order to be able to effectively play it, that's where the problem lies.
Yeah. So
it's basically like when it becomes like pay to win, essentially, as opposed to pay to play.
Yeah, it's just that the Activision has already stated that there's really there's nothing big that they're going to be announcing outside, like, meaning no new IPs. There's going to be sticking with Call of Duty and everything that they already have, which honestly they need some new IPs.
Yeah, I don't know how many more Call of Duties they.
Look, we give EA crap, but that one thing I can give EA, I can give props to EA for, is that they do make new IPs. Apex Legends is a new IP, even though it's tied to Titanfall. It's still a brand new game. You have
Titanfall 2 isn't such a huge franchise that there isn't like. How, I don't know, 10 plus games in the franchise? Like,
no, Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, and now this.
No, I'm saying, but unlike Call of Duty, which has an insane
There's
amount
no
of
fatigue to it. And then you have, of course you have your sports games, but those will never die.
You have slap a new year.
You have Anthem, which is a new IP. The new Dragon Age game that was kind of teased at the Game Awards or at E3, and then you have it's even said that BioWare isn't done with Mass Effect. So there's new IPs coming out of EA, and I think that that does help them keep afloat, because that keeps things new, regardless of how scummy and how much the corporate bigwigs at the top care about the bottom line. That's if EA can just take that part out and just go make good video games, because it's been proven. God of War and Marvel Spider-Man outsold the games that came out within that month, and especially Spider-Man that came out in September. Big games came out that month, and it was the number one selling game of the month. It outsold every PlayStation game that came out on the PS4, and people bought PlayStations just for that game. That's an exclusive. That you're already cutting off half of the market by just being, it can only be on one system. But if people want to play a game, they'll buy the system. They'll make sure they get that game. Just make the game good. and people will play it.
Right.
People will buy it. You will make money off of it, and that's the whole thing with it. So I feel bad for the almost 800 people, and I really do hope that they land on their feet.
Well, yeah, but
and their
like
families.
you said, if they're trying to, they gave them a severance package. It's not like they're just cut and dry. They're also trying to help them find another,
Yes, all I'm saying, just overall, all I'm saying is like I feel bad for them.
I do too.
And it sucks.
It's never a good thing, but sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And in the case of there may be like I said, it's probably like it could be like a long-term decision. It's like they're thinking the long game. Like if we want to maintain this company,
well, their stocks have dropped massively.
Right,
And they haven't gone
and
up.
so and it's like when you're not making enough money, you can't. You might have to let a good chunk with a company that big. You got to let some people go so that the company can survive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if everyone's going to get fired eventually, if the company goes under or goes bankrupt, and then they're going to their best hope would be to be, absorbed into something else.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, to just kind of end this is that like I do hope that the people who have been laid off, you guys find your jobs and whatever it would be. I hope you guys land on your feet for you, your families, everything like that. I'm sorry that has come to you, and our hearts go out to you guys. And yeah, business is business. Things like this happen, and it sucks. I don't know where I stand on this. Part of me is like, screw you, Activision, but also I
look at the reality of
it's a
the
business.
situation.
These businesses are here to make money. That's the whole reason.
Yeah, it's not like video games as a business model is unique. Like there's plenty of other businesses that do this same thing.
Like this is like Sony's in it for the like
every business is in it
every
for the
single
money.
developer publisher. It's because
you want to get paid to do it. You might love what you do, but you're doing it to get
paid. Exactly. Yeah. So like, yes,
loving what you do is just a bonus.
Yes, and like there are like. Thank God that there are some publishers and developers who see video games as art. Like, and that's like Sean Layden. That's a big thing with with the worldwide studios of PlayStation. They see it as art, so they want them to take their time and make sure the game is good. So when it comes out, it sells, and it does.
Well, it's like Miyamoto said. It's like a bad game will be bad forever, but a good, so it's better to take time to make a good one.
Exactly. But let's move on. Next topic. Amy Hennig feels that there's going to be a revolution in how we receive game content. This is also during the DICE Summit. There's a lot of stuff like that. The DICE Summit was big. During the DICE Summit of 2019, conversation between Amy Hennig and Tim Schafer, this was a different keynote, and this was kind of talking about like developers and kind of where it's going. Hennig discussed narrative in games, streaming, and more. From Amy Hennig, quote, "As much as we would all very much own the fact that we love to play these narrative games, it's becoming harder and harder to make those games anymore. Partially because of the business model and cost of development, but I think that it's a shame. We're at this inflection point. Everything's going to change. We don't know. Is everything just going to be streaming to us the way music and TV and movies do? I'm excited about the fact that we may be able to crack into a much bigger audience that would actually welcome interactive content. There's a feeling there is a huge shift coming in the next 2 to 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, where our content is going to be able to reach people a lot more frictionlessly than in the past. There's going to be a revolution in how we receive content. There's a lot of people in Hollywood trying to figure this out right now, but they don't know what we know." End quote. So Amy Hennig is talking about how
It's almost like what I was saying earlier.
I know. It's kind of
That's literally like what I was saying earlier, is like how the video game industry, like they're now starting to get into the idea.
I set this up for you. No,
I'm not even gonna say anything. It's all you.
No,
I
sure.
already said everything I would have said. So.
Like with this one of the things that I do definitely agree on is that that it's becoming harder and harder to make narrative games, and that's my favorite style. That's my favorite genre of games. And yes, yes, it does suck, and narrative games are never going to die.
But the thing is, any game could have a narrative.
No, but like it's.
But if it depends on if it's the focus.
It's the games like Uncharted, Last of Us,
right.
Spider-Man,
where it's
God
like a
of War.
cinematic experience.
Yeah, exactly. These very like heavily narrative focused,
lots of
story-driven.
dialogue, lots of cutscenes.
You're playing the game to tell a story, and not I'm playing a game to play a game. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So, and I agree. It sucks, but I do understand it. Like people don't have time. Really, people don't have the time to be able to get invested into a big, huge, epic, narrative-driven game, unless it's like you must buy this game. You have to buy this game, like God of War, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A lot of people just want to. They come home from work or they come home from doing whatever they do. They have a few hours to themselves,
That's
or
why
before they
online
pass out.
multiplayer is so popular.
Exactly,
because it's fast. It's fast. You get several games in a sitting.
You're also tapping into the competitive side of it.
Right.
So
there's always differences going on.
Yep. So like if you have,
and then there's some story in the background to give substance to the world you're in.
Yeah. So like you have the people who don't have the time on their hands to play online multiplayer games. That's why they exist. So that's why battle royales are very popular, because now instead of
the streaming potential is also very high.
Exactly. So like you have battle royale where you can just jump in with anyone and you can start going, and then if you die, you can either continue playing a different game or jump out and be done. That makes your time allotment shorter than like playing Call of Duty.
It's more cost effective.
Exactly. Then you have the competitiveness of online multiplayers where, if you have all the time in the world, but you're a very competitive person playing those kind of games, you want to be better so that way you can be part of the esports league and that kind of thing. But like for me, I see I play video games because I see them as works of art, pieces of art. And
they're fun.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't be playing them if they're not fun. But also, these are pieces of art. When a game makes me emote, whether I laugh, whether I cry, whether I get mad or get sad, like if a game makes me emote, that's a good game, regardless of what it is. I think the biggest one, if it makes me cry, like oh my god, like Last of Us is one of the best narrative told games I've ever played. I've had to stop playing that game because it made me cry so much. Like it made me feel emotions I never thought a video game would make me
That's
feel.
how I felt at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
Like, because Last of Us, it didn't make me cry. It was very emotional. But it's like, I'm very...
Well, it just hit the home. It hit very close to home for me.
I'm very steeled in most respects as far as emotions with media. But yeah, like, Kingdom Hearts, like, was the first game in, like, recent memory that, like, I was just, like, at the end, I was just, like, I felt the deep, emotion. At the end of it.
Yeah. But, that's kind of the big thing. And yes, I whether it's going to go to streaming, we are kind of already seeing that shift with the Xbox's Game Pass. Even PlayStation Now. People are playing PlayStation Now. And yes, I think PlayStation needs to still fix PlayStation Now. There's still a lot of work to make it better. But like Xbox's Game Pass is like Netflix style of video games where you just pay $10, you get access to.
But I still like the thing for me is like I don't want to live in a world where the only way to play a game is to have an internet connection.
No, I
do not want.
I think it's gonna go the way of how Blu-rays are still around.
Oh yeah.
Blu-rays are still around, but what happens is that with Blu-rays you can go ahead and go to a Best Buy, buy a steelbook or buy the physical version of it. But in it you get the Blu-ray, the DVD, and the digital copy. Or if you buy, or you can get the 4K one.
That would be.
I think it's going to go more like that where
sense,
you won't have a digital copy with it, but it's either if you want
have a copy that's usable without the internet in some form.
There's physical copies. I think are going to become more retro. So, in order to get a physical copy, you got to buy a collector's edition or buy the big one.
Yeah.
The gold edition. Like how Ubisoft, with the gold edition, you pay $100, you get the steelbook and the physical disc and that kind of thing. I think within 2 to 5 years, I think a lot of games are becoming digital. People buy games digitally because they don't want to have a massive library and they don't want to get up. They just find it easier to just go into the digital library, press X, and you go instead, and then you go in like that. So that aspect, I think, is definitely changing. Streaming, for video games, I don't
think it. I don't.
At least anytime soon.
Yeah, no.
Like
I don't think we're that far along.
No.
And you'd have to have an insane internet connection for that to even work.
But I think the way it's not going to be streaming like how Netflix is, where you have to be constantly connected. I think it's going to be like how, honestly, I think Xbox is on the right track of how you can stream gaming. As in, you have to be connected to the internet in order to access the Netflix, the library of it. And then what you do is you choose the game you want to play, and then you download it to your system. And then, because the way it works in the Game Pass is that you download it to your system, and then you can play it. And then as long as you have Game Pass, you can play that. And then if you choose to unsubscribe, it's locked up.
It's basically like a video game rental service. Almost.
Exactly. I think that's going to be the way of going. Even PlayStation Now has changed to that way of where you choose a game and then you download it. It's not every game that's on PlayStation Now. It's only like all of the PS4 first party games and a few others. Sure. But like you download the game to your system and then you play it, and as long as you have PlayStation Now, you get to play it. You know, that I think is going to be the way of the future. If you have to have a constant internet access to it, that was the big problem when Xbox One was first announced. People didn't like that. You know, I think that's going to be where it's going. But
yeah, I could see that.
But let's go ahead and move on. Next topic. Developers and publishers are upset over the lack of PS4 crossplay support. This is coming from Game Informer. Developers and publishers are speaking out against Sony's lack of cross-platform support, despite what Sony has publicly stated about the process. Earlier this month, War Thunder and the new CEO of Hi-Rez, Stuart Chisholm, asked Sony publicly to include cross-play support in their games. Shortly after, in an interview with Game Informer, Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios chairman and former SIE president and CEO Sean Layden said Sony was open to crossplay, but that publishers and developers just needed to take the necessary steps to get there. On Tuesday, February 12th, the CEO of Chucklefish, who is the publisher of Wargroove, said in a thread on Reset Era that they did everything in their power to request cross-play despite their efforts that were in line with what Sean Layden said. Chucklefish was told that it would not happen. The thread on Reset Era began in response to Layden's interview with Game Informer, with many users inquiring if Sony is purposefully being selective with their cross-play games.
I mean, they probably are.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they don't even have to really think about it.
Well, here's the thing about it. Like, personally, for me, I don't play online games. I don't play a multiplayer game, so it's not a big deal for me.
I do very few and far between.
It's not a big deal for me, but I do understand why people are upset, and they have the
same
right.
Here,
and they have the right to be upset.
Absolutely.
And
especially since Nintendo and Xbox have already kind of started working together to a degree.
Well, yeah, and the reason PlayStation is the console leader of the generation. Mm-hmm. So them going, hey, yeah, we'll go ahead and do cross-platform play because it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Because what happens is that the example is that if both of us are playing Fortnite, or even if they do Apex Legends or whatever, let's say you're playing on PlayStation and I'm on the go playing on my Switch. Mm-hmm. If let's say for instance we're playing against each other. And, I want to buy something. I want to go ahead and buy a loot box. I primarily play on my PlayStation, but I'm on the go, so I'm playing on my Switch. I can't buy that outfit.
Right, there's not there would have to be a universal game currency.
Mm-hmm, which there's not. You buy Nintendo credit for your Switch.
I feel like as soon as, but I feel like if there was a universal game currency, then that would fix the problem. Honestly,
but then how do you
separate? But you'd have to more evenly divide it up, and basically they'd be making less money.
Exactly,
is literally the only thing.
And really, I've stated this before. Play back in the PS3 and Xbox generation. I think it was for the game Defiance, where PlayStation wanted to do cross-platform play with Xbox, but Xbox said no. And that's because they were the console leader of that generation. Mm-hmm. Xbox needs something in order to kind of come back. So why not play the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
Yes, overall, we're all buddies here. But these companies are competing for us.
Right. They want more money.
Of course. So what PlayStation honestly should make it easier for these games to be cross-platform play, only because of PR. Because when these next generation consoles, the Project Scarlet and the PS5, when these games come out, now mind you, PlayStation might stick to their guns and say, nope, they're like, you got to go through this process. And I understand it on a business sense. I understand that on a business sense, where like, we don't want, other economies dipping into ours and vice versa, like, that kind of thing. But that's a big PR problem, and we're seeing that the turn of the tide now is that everyone wants to play on everyone wants to play with each other regardless of what thing we own.
Whatever device it is.
Exactly. So really, I think the
only other thing I could think of is if there was like a third-party device created that could be used on any existing system that has its own universal currency that would evenly get split. I'm just.
I know, and there's really no easy way to do this. There really is no easy way.
There's not going to be a way where everyone's happy, or like at least 100% happy. Like compromise would be absolutely necessary to a huge degree for any cross-platform anything to work.
Yes, and like PlayStation has made it harder. Like I'm glad that they opened it in some regards to specific games like Rocket League and Fortnite, and I think they're going to be doing Apex Legends very soon.
Free game, they don't have much to lose as much.
These are free-to-play games too. Oh. War Thunder is a free-to-play game, and I believe Wargroove is a free-to-play game.
I suppose the microtransactions, though, that's where you'd be making the money.
Exactly. And it's been proven that's where Epic has been made their billions of dollars just off of Fortnite. So it's hard because PlayStation is leading the console generation, and they're winning. So why would I forego the money that I would be making, where I could still be making this? But yes, you're doing that right now. But then when the next console comes, you have Xbox and Nintendo playing nice with each other, and PlayStation sitting over here kind of going, ha ha. That's one of the things I'm a little bit worried about, and especially with them leaving E3, and we'll get into this in our main topic, but with them not being at E3, the conversation will be kind of tipped in favor for Microsoft and Nintendo, and I don't know about that. So
they must not be too worried about it.
And that leads to the era of the PS3. That's what happened with them. Their hubris, and they're just kind of going, oh, we'll be fine. People will buy it because it's PlayStation. That's no, because if the price point of the PS3 was bad, they had to do an uphill battle in order to even just go neck and neck to Xbox. That was the only thing. And really, that's kind of what happened near the end of the generation, that they were neck and neck. And PlayStation had to do a lot of cutbacks, and they doubled down on their exclusives, and I think that was a good choice for them, and that's kind of what has kind of made them stable. But you also need the third parties, and you need that kind of stuff, and you need to play nice with other developers, and you need to play nice with you
can't just go it alone and think you're going to survive.
Yeah, exactly. But let's go ahead. So that's all the news topics that I have. That was long, but we did it. Woo! All right, awesome. Let's go ahead and go into our main topic, the big thing. So, a year without PlayStation, an E3 without PlayStation.
Yeah.
Woo. So, we have known early this year or late last year that PlayStation is not going to be at E3 2019. And we've been speculating about why that is. Why did PlayStation pull out of E3 when that's the biggest? That's the Super Bowl when it comes to, that's the Super Bowl WrestleMania of the year when it comes to the video game industry. Mm-hmm. And now we finally have kind of a reason why they have left. This is a news article that comes from CNET. PlayStation's Sean Layden explains why Sony is skipping E3 2019. There are also multiple different articles from other places, from Variety, but I've gotten this one from CNET, and then I also have another article from Game Informer. All these sources will be put into our description. But from CNET, Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden recently discussed why Sony is skipping E3 this year. In an interview with CNET, Layden said that E3 used to serve retailers and journalists, but those can now be served better elsewhere. From Sean Layden, quote, Now we have an event in February called Destination PlayStation, where we bring all retailers and third-party partners to come hear the story for the year. They're making purchasing discussions in February. June, now, is just too late to have a Christmas holiday discussion with retailers. And journalists now, with the internet and the fact that 24/7 there is game news, it's lost its impact around that. So the trade show became a trade show without a lot of trade activity. The world has changed, but E3 hasn't necessarily changed with it. Layden also discussed how Sony's current developers are focusing on fewer but bigger projects. Quote, we're building fewer games per year than ever before, but we're spending more time, more energy, certainly more money on making them. End quote. So the reasoning behind, so now we know why they pulled out of E3, and this actually does make sense. And I never thought of this, and this is very forward thinking on Sean Layden's part and Shuhei Yoshida and all those guys. The reason why they aren't being at E3 is because it's so that way they can control the conversation within themselves. So that way we don't have a E3 2018 problem, because that was kind of a big thing where you had hey, we're going to be in this like loft, and it looks like the scene, one of the scene, it's a set that's set up to look like Last of Us, and then you had that whole weird like transition where then they had to move from the church to the stadium, and then like that's when you had that weird interview with Sid and all of them, and then that was when they announced Call of Duty, and that was kind of like the Activision block, and then they got in, and then so on and so forth. It was kind of just lackluster. It wasn't really big. There was no pizzazz to it. Sure. So now they kind of did their own PSX, and I think this is why they didn't do a PSX. So now they're doing this is for the journalists, and this is for the retailers. So GameStop, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, all of them, where we can now kind of discuss the holidays in the beginning of the year instead of doing it in June, where you only have like less than 6 months to do it. June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, about 6 months or less to kind of figure that out. Where if you do it in February, you have about 10 months to figure out your holiday plan. And you can go ahead and see if we want to release Days Gone in April. We want to release this game here. We want to do this game here. We want to do this game here, and stuff like that. So yeah, Blaze, talk to me. What do you think?
Well, I think that I totally agree with him. Honestly, like I think that all of his points are valid. I'm not saying because it's not like they're not doing a bad thing by not wanting to show up to E3. It's like I feel like people are putting a negative stigma on them at like Sony because they don't want to be there, but it's not like what are they doing wrong? It's like again, it's a business, and the thing is, it's like. I feel like it's like the quote, like a very dangerous way of thinking is saying, well, we shouldn't change. Things have always been this way. Mm-hmm. That's how you stagnate and die.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I think he's saying is that, because like I'm not saying E3 is useless by any means, and it's still a huge event. It probably is. I've never been there, but it's probably a blast if you know the right people and can afford it.
Yeah.
But it's also like, imagine the amount of money that they save not going to E3. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And then they can and since it's all becoming internalized, they're going to put all of, that's one facet of a benefit. Like, all that money and time and resources to put on a show at E3 is just being it's just not leaving the company at all. It's just going to be it's going to be internalized, and they're going to be able to work within themselves. And it's like he said, it's foolish to think that E3 is the end all be all and will never have to change the way that it runs and the way that it functions.
Well, and that's one of the things where back in, I believe, 2015, 2016, when they announced their like PSX, we're going to be doing this thing called PlayStation Experience, where we're going to do like pretty much a con for PlayStation.
Right.
It's just like at the end of the year, we're going to do the PlayStation PSX, and this is for the PlayStation fans, and people come out, and that was when we got the little alpha trailer for Last of Us Part 2. We got the different panels, and like. Last year, like the year before PSX, I think it was 2017's where it was just like a panel. Mm-hmm. Like that was where I was like, that's awesome for people who are there, but for people like who sit at home, I don't have the time to like. I'd rather go ahead and see like
I don't have the time or the money to just go to E3
or
go to
like,
PSX.
The reason why like we watched E3 and covered E3 not only because it's the biggest time of the year for gamers, but also like you have the stage shows, you have the showcases, and then
it's an event.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
entertainment in and of itself.
Yes, and where like if you're there, like panels are good when you're there, but if you're watching from home, it's
you're probably going to honestly see more because there, it's like you could like if you're actually at one of those, it's like it's a huge crowded event. It's not cheap, and you have to try to. Literally, you have to try to do as much as you can in the short time that you have while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you can only see and do so much unless, and even if you know the right people, you still can only do so much.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're watching it, not to say that one is better than the other, but like you can experience a lot more of the whole of an event like that, like when it's being covered, because you're getting multiple multiple inputs, multiple people doing reporting on it, and you can get more facets of it because they're on the front line, and it's just like you don't physically have to walk from here to there through a sea of people to try to make it to something.
Yep.
Or hear it, because everything, it's like it's made so that you're getting as much out of it as you can.
Yeah.
And again, like I think, like it's like they said, like so basically with the whole PSX and now not going to E3, it's essentially it's like. We're just gonna do our own thing because it's gonna be easier.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so much because we're not at a place. Not to say that it's bad to have the competition, but it's like why would we go to this huge event which we have to spend a bunch of time and resources to be involved in when we have like two of our two main competitors right next to us, and it's just this sea of people where it's like we could just do our own, and then everybody who's interested and wants to be a part of the PlayStation experience will be there, and it'll be catered to them.
You know what? This actually just came to mind. Back in 2014, I remember I was in New York for maybe about a month or less. This was when PlayStation went to New York and they announced the PS4. Mm-hmm. That was when they invited pretty much journalists, retailers, all of them into a big. And I was actually at the theater in New York. I wasn't able to get in, but I was like among the crowd. And I was able to talk to some of the people there, and it's surprising that this just came to mind because they did it in February. They went ahead. This was back when like everyone was kind of ready for the next generation of consoles, and like PlayStation went ahead and came out to bat first and going, we're announcing the PS4. It does this, and this is the control. And they showed the Dualshock'd 4, and they kind of showed off what games they were ready to kind of put out there. And that was when we saw Final Fantasy VII Remake, Kingdom Hearts 3, Infamous Second Son, all that kind of good stuff. What just came to mind is that there's, I believe, I kind of looked a little bit deeper. We don't kind of like. In February, it's Destination PlayStation. What if this is when they announced the PS5?
That's actually one of the...
What if
that was one of the main reasons when I first heard that they weren't going to be at E3. It's because I thought they're working on the PS5 and they don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
Until they're ready to tell.
Yeah.
Because why would you show up and why would you... let's say they are. Let's say for the sake of argument that they're working on the PS5 and they plan on announcing it at their next event.
At Destination PlayStation?
Yeah. So let's say that's the case. Because I would totally understand if it isn't, because that's a whole new system.
Yeah.
That's a whole... That's not making a game. That's a whole new piece of hardware. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's not till next year. But let's just say it is. Then it would make perfect sense for them not to want to go there because it's not ready. And they don't... Why are we gonna what game? Like, you still are gonna learn about the games that are coming out. Like you said, 24-hour news service. They don't even really need to tell you what games are gonna be coming out and who's making them and when and new games being developed because you're gonna find out.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is like if they were working on the PS5, they're not gonna show up because if it's not ready, they have nothing to talk about. They like why would they're going to have to withhold everything that they would want to say because they're not ready to say it. So they're just going to say, well, we're just going to save time and money by not going, and we'll just tell you at our own thing. You know.
I mean, mind you, actually,
where all the focus will be on them.
Yes, and also what I really like is PlayStation. Like for instance, Days Gone is the kind of the next exclusive that's coming out very soon. I got an email earlier this week or last week where it's an email from PlayStation. It says RSVP to Deacon, and I think her name is Emily, which is the main Deacon is the main character you play as. And RSVP to the wedding, and like they give you a code, and you press the link to RSVP, and you put in the code, and then it says be here at actually on this date at this time, and like that's the trailer. They're gonna show a trailer for it, and like on that day, on I believe it was on the 13th or on the 15th, they showed the trailer for the newest trailer for Days Gone. It's kind of like more about how what's happening to Deacon. Like Deacon got married to Emily, and then how what happened with him, and then you have these people, I think it's like biker guys coming after him, and then you have the freakers also in the background coming, a horde of them just coming out to kill them, which the freakers are the zombies of
zombie
this
analog,
game. Yeah. So it was that's a very interesting way to promote a game.
Well, and also at the end of the day, it's good. We're talking about it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's so no one's ever really done it. No one's ever just not shown up, and that's what I say. It's like, in addition to everything we've already discussed, the fact that they're not showing up has people wondering why they're not showing up.
Exactly,
and they're being talked about, which means that that's just good. That's just good PR.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that, with them not being E3, now we kind of talked about how, them leaving allows them to kind of control the conversation.
Right.
But now, when we hit E3 season, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be showing up. It's not like they're going to have. It's not like they're not doing a trade show. They're just going. Oh, we're not going to do a showcase. They're not going to be on the floor. They're not going to be demoing. At least as of right now, there's nothing.
It'll be interesting to compare the attendance. Of this year to last year.
I don't know though, but also, now the big thing is that not only do you have the publisher, so Ubisoft, Activision has been with PlayStation because of their contract, but I don't know, is Activision even going to be at E3 because of the contract? Because Activision has always shown off their things on PlayStation 4 because of their contract.
Right.
So does that mean that Activision is going to be there either because of the contract, or do you think they're just going to show off games, or how does that work? So you have that, but Ubisoft will be there, EA will be there, Bethesda will be there, Microsoft and Nintendo will be there. So now in June, doesn't that PlayStation still has to do something during that time, because then all the conversation will be about them. At least during the E3 time, because Xbox is going to come out and they're going to talk about projects.
See, but the thing is, they could even if for that moment, just because E3 it's an event, and when it's over, eventually, it's not going to be important anymore. Mm-hmm. Eventually, they could just be PS5, and no one's going to give a fuck about E3.
I mean, they could,
or at least to some degree. It's almost like maybe they're setting it up purposefully so that they fade out a little bit, so that when they do come back, it's even stronger, because compared to not being there, they'd be like, this is why.
Well, I mean, one of the best E3 press conferences from PlayStation was the E3 of 2014, where that was the year where in February you had the reveal event of the PS4, and then you had that, and then Xbox. Xbox didn't do theirs until about a week or two before E3 themselves. So you had from February up until at least May to where PlayStation's the PS4 has been in talks, and we have had no idea about the Xbox One. Then Xbox came out with their reveal event, and that was just a disaster. TV, sports, TV, games, TV, sports. A little bit of games. And then the whole DRM things that was bad, and then you had Don Matcher come out, if you don't want an Xbox, the whole, if you live out in, if you can't get internet access, buy an Xbox 360, which that's not what you want to say at a reveal event. So, that was a disaster. And then you had the day of where you had Xbox go first on their day, and then PlayStation went last. And that was when PlayStation went, yep, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. You can trade in your games, and you don't have to connect to the internet, and you can do this. And they, like, every single time, it looked like you just saw PlayStation taking a bat to Xbox, just whipping them upside the head. Like, it was crazy. The crowd went nuts. Even I went nuts when I watched it. I don't know, maybe if PlayStation doesn't want that reaction, or if they want to, maybe they don't know, because Xbox has kind of been really fighting the uphill battle and kind of been succeeding, really. I would definitely have to say, with Game Pass, the accessibility controller, and all that, because now they can, not being at E3, they then don't have to prepare themselves for whatever Xbox has planned for them, or whatever that would be.
It's like, they're not trying to. It's like taking out any kind of competition they would have, because if they're hosting their own event, there is no competition. It's just them and what they got to do, and it's like, it's not like people are gonna forget that Sony exists just because they're not at E3. They're still gonna, learn about whatever they're doing when they're ready to reveal it.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that they should somehow, some way? Like, do you think that they should do something during that time? I'm not, because they said they're not going to be there, but do you think that they should announce something, or, maybe do, like, the Road to Greatness tour during that time? Where the Road to Greatness tour is that it's a big semi that tours around the U.S., and, like, they stop at specific stops, and you can demo out new games.
Well, I don't think it's, honestly, I think it would be, I think it's not necessary for them to do something. That's basically it. It's hard for me to say, like, I think they should or shouldn't, because it's honestly, like, they're a juggernaut in the industry. Like I said, it's not like, if they didn't do anything during E3, doesn't really matter, because there's still Sony, and there's still, like, they have the leading console, they have the more exclusives. Like, it's, I feel like they might do, if they do something, if I were them and I had to be a part of this plan, I would do something very small. Because it's like, if you want someone to listen to you, whisper. Don't yell.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if any, it would basically, like, if it were me, I would say, like, do something small and plant a seed. Okay. Separate from E3, where it's not, like, I'm just going to be using some analogies here.
It's okay.
Like, if you plant a seed next to two already full-grown trees, you're never going to notice the seed when it sprouts. Yeah. But if you plant it in the middle of a field by itself, it's the only thing you're going to notice.
Okay.
And if you do something small and then allow that small thing to grow naturally, then eventually it will become the big thing that they're going to do. I would assume it's either, if not a release date, the announce of, like, what the features.
That's what I honestly think it is. That they're like, we already know Xbox has said we're working on a new system called Project Scarlet, joining the Xbox One family. Yeah. That was at the end.
And for the record, I just want to say this: I had an experience. I told you about this.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I, like, slipped into an alternate reality for a split second. I swear to all of you that are watching this, a few months ago, I saw on my Facebook feed a trailer for the PlayStation 5. And I'm not joking. I was not asleep. I saw it, and I couldn't find it afterward. And I can explain to you exactly, like, what I saw. Okay. And I want to this is just for posterity.
Go ahead. No.
Because if I turn out to be right, there's some shit going on.
That's kind of honestly what I kind of want to hope to see. Because if, like, the trailer that you saw is the trailer that they show, if and when they announce the PS5, dude.
If I'm right, I don't even know what that means. I don't know what it would mean if I'm right. But this is what I remember.
Okay, so go ahead. Tell me.
It wasn't a long one, and they're like, but I remember it was, like, very rounded. Okay, the system itself was like it was rounded like this, very smooth, no buttons. Okay, all of the buttons were digital. All of the buttons they were on the front. It was like blue, like a touch activated blue like backlit screen, and they were all touch activated. And I believe it had a disc drive, but it was a very sleek system, only about this big, and like I said, all touch activated. And I think that the controller had it was pretty much like similar to the DualShock, but a little bit more rounded.
Okay.
Like longer on the edges, and that's pretty much like and there was some people in it. And I swear to God, I saw it, and for some stupid reason, I didn't share it immediately. And I don't know if that was just fate that I didn't feel the need to share it. And then it was PlayStation that posted it too.
Oh wow!
And I tried to find it again, and I couldn't find anything.
Wow!
And I don't know to this day what the hell happened.
Oh, that's wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I swear, I feel like I had no reason to make this up either.
No, I get you. No,
I just I experienced it and I couldn't find it. Could not find it again, and I haven't seen it since.
Yeah. So I think we talk about that. Let's one last thing I want to bring up is that the last point that Sean Layden brought up is that they're building fewer games per year than ever before. Spend more time, more energy, and more money making them.
And that's fine with me.
What do you think? Yeah, so you're okay with that?
I'm 100%.
Why?
I think that's a great idea.
Really, why?
I would rather have a few pieces of art and a few masterpieces than a whole bunch of mediocrity.
Yeah. No, I agree. Because let's see, because we got Detroit Become Human,
Star Wars Battlefront.
But last year, kind of the big ones we got was Detroit Become Human, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man,
Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Yep. Was that 2018?
I'm almost certain.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I don't know.
It was earlier in the year.
But yeah. I was like, oh, what?
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, those were definitely. Nier Automata.
Yeah. That's not made in house. That's made by.
Doesn't matter though.
But yeah,
it's exclusive.
Yeah.
So that it might as well have been.
Yeah.
You know?
But again, then you also have Persona. You have games like Digimon, Cyber Sleuth 2, which
any JRPG period.
Yeah,
pretty much.
But games that are made in house by the worldwide studios at PlayStation, it's I believe those are kind of the big three or four.
Well, right, and that's what. Yeah, it's these huge extremely ambitious projects that end up paying off because he said it's if you put a lot it's if you spend all day making a sandwich and you literally just painstakingly pour over every detail, that first bite is going to change your life.
Yeah.
But you could also make an acceptable amount of sandwiches as opposed to one super sandwich that are all good, but they're not that sandwich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It's you can make as an example, let's see, with because a lot of these examples would be on both platforms.
But it's like the sports games. There's nothing special about the sports games.
It's better graphics, a different roster, and maybe another gimmick or two, like the playground or whatever they have in fucking NBA 19.
Yeah, or the annual releases where with Assassin's Creed is
Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Battlefield.
It's where the best sandwich that if we're gonna go with the sandwich analogy, the best sandwich ever made from the best sandwich that equals Assassin's Creed, I would say 2 or Brotherhood. But they've continued to make more sandwiches and trying to make that one sandwich again.
But based off of the fact that you love that one sandwich, they're gonna sell you. They'll know you buy it's like if you go to a restaurant because you like their food, you could get the most expensive burger, which might be the best one, but you'll still go there to get their less expensive and less good burgers because they're still good, but they're not amazing.
Yeah,
it doesn't bring a tear to your eye to take a bite.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. No,
and so I completely endorse that policy and philosophy as make a few masterpieces and not a bunch of mediocrity, or it could be good and that's fine, but it's you want any if I were a developer, anybody in the game, it's you want whatever you make to be the best thing someone's ever seen,
of course,
no matter what and obviously some people don't care, and there's less effort put into it. It also depends, especially in the indie scene. especially. Like, they want you to fall in love with whatever it is they have.
Yeah.
Despite if it's simple or otherwise.
Yeah.
And they have far less money and resources than Sony. But Sony's adopting the same mentality. We're going to use all of our power in the video game industry and, like, the ability, like, the creative freedom that we have because of all of the money and resources and, you know, things that we have to do games with to make the best things you've ever seen, but we can only do a few of them a year because it takes time to make something amazing.
And that's kind of what Sean Layden brought up in his keynote when he talked about the PS3's like mishaps, is that quality is above all. Which because
if it's not a good game, no one gives a shit.
Exactly.
No one cares. It doesn't matter what it's on. It doesn't matter how long it is. It doesn't matter how good some aspect of it may be or what its price point is or what it's online. It doesn't... Any and all facets fall to the wayside if the game is shit.
Exactly.
If it's not a good game, you know, but the thing is, what makes a good game? I mean, that's a whole nother
I know. That's
topic.
A whole...
And it's almost impossible. You can't really define it either.
No,
because it's arbitrary.
Exactly.
I mean, you could say there are things that objectively a good game should have.
Yep. And like what constitutes game of the year, but if we talk to, like, for us, we said God of War, but if we went to someone who if we talked to Sonic Fox, what would be his game of the year? That would be like Injustice 2, because he plays.
And I understand because I love fighting games.
I do too, but like
it's different.
Exactly,
it's all subjective and it's all arbitrary. However, you can immediately tell a good game from a bad game, despite not knowing anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like obviously you won't know for certain until you play them, but like if you play a game and it's bad, it will always be bad.
Yeah.
That's what's like I said earlier with what Miyamoto says. Like a bad game will be bad forever. It's worth. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it's worth taking the time to make one good game, as opposed to a bunch of bad games simply to meet the bottom line.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if you make one amazing masterpiece, you will exceed your bottom line, and all you'll have to do is make one thing.
Yeah.
Which means that you're not trying to split up efforts between several projects. You're putting everything's being focused on one, which is much more efficient and convenient for everybody involved.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you have, is that Naughty Dog didn't really the team for Last of Us Part 2 was a very small team that was working on the alpha stages of it, while the rest of Naughty Dog was finishing up Uncharted 4 and that kind of thing, and not until Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy was finished until the rest of the Naughty Dog team came to help out.
Like you finish, I think it's a good idea. You finish one project, you put all your time into that, then you're done. You don't try to split up and start working. You can't work on two masterpieces at once.
No, but
and even if you could, you wouldn't want to, because you can't fully put yourself into two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why the way that PlayStation split up their teams at Naughty Dog, I'm using Naughty Dog as an example,
right.
But Naughty Dog only had a very small team working on their Last of Us Part 2, and then you had the whole team working on Uncharted.
Right.
So, and that's kind of how you want to do it. So, yeah, that's I definitely do understand that. I'm very happy that games are that's kind of how it's being done over at PlayStation. And really just gonna wrap this all up, them not being at E3, hearing this now, they're kind of doing this whole big huge event, at least for the journalists and retailers. That is definitely very good, and that keeps the focus on them, and them kind of being far away from E3. I mean, honestly, if I was a betting man, I would say they're going to be announcing at least the PS5 exists.
You know what? I'm saying if they show it and it's anything like I described, I know for a fact that I'm not crazy, and I slipped into an alternate universe where the PS5 has already been announced.
Hey man,
no, wait. Maybe I slipped into the alternate universe where they did go to E3 and it was announced. But it was the time was different because I was in a different spot in space-time. It's the only way I can think of it. It's like the Mandela effect. It's like the Berenstain Bears. I remember it being spelled with an E, but it's the Berenstain Bears with an AI. That's how it actually is spelled. Or people there's a bunch of people who knew for sure that that's where it comes to the Mandela effect. They thought saw Nelson Mandela die in prison, but he's still alive.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like it was like one of those instances.
Or maybe you were stoned, and who knows?
No! because the thing is, it was on my Facebook newsfeed. There's no way I could fake it. There's no way I could, how would that happen?
I know, yeah.
And the fact that I couldn't find it afterwards really
and you didn't share it either. That's
I know,
funny.
because I didn't think about it. I was just like, you know what, I should go share that. And I was just like, where is it? Where the fuck is it? Like, I just saw it. It should have been there. It was on PlayStation's page. I went to their page and there was nothing. And it's just like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to move beyond this portion of my life because it doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter. Oh, man.
All right, I'm okay.
You're good? All right, good. But yeah, no, I honestly, I believe it's in February. We're halfway through. It's probably going to be near the end of the month, and I'm very excited to see and hear what what they have to say. And if I was a betting man, this will be where they announce the PS5. This is what I think, and I think them announcing PS5 and kind of keeping the focus on them and not even being at E3 allows us to continue talking about it, and then they can kind of be at.
You know what I could imagine?
And then because I'm hitting stuff.
Yeah. You're excited.
Throughout the year, you have PAX. You have PAX. You have PAX. You have Tokyo.
PAX, and PAX.
Yeah.
And then the 5th PAX that happens during the year.
Where they call POC.
Yeah.
That's where
they spell it with a K that time.
No, it's just where POC from Dragon Gate shows up and just kills people.
Yeah. Well, that's an event.
Or if you watch WWE, Neville.
There you go.
But jokes aside, you have PAX East and West. You have Tokyo Game Show. You have
VGA.
But the Video Game Awards are near the end of the year.
Well, I'm just saying.
But who knows? But the kind of within the time frame of E3, you have Tokyo Game Show, you have Paris Games Week, you have PAX East and West, you have all these different video game conventions happening around, and that's kind of where they can continue being around, because they want to be around more publicly open conventions, where E3 has kind of been like the retailers and the journalists, and it's open to the public now, but this is where the journalists and the retailers are kind of keeping their eyes on and stuff like that, and the stockholders, where
I'm just imagining, like I said with that whole planting a seed analogy, they're just gonna show a hand with the DualShock 5 and then just end it with a date.
That'd be rad.
I could just see them doing.
Oh, I know.
Like that.
Oh, I know.
Well, because how the marketing campaigns that PlayStation, with the weird baby, with the PS3, or the PlayStation 2 being all about the third place, and it's they just do all these weird things. I could just see them.
With Greatness Awaits, where I love the real life trailers they have done, where the new one now is that you have this odd salesman antique salesman who holds artifacts from all of PlayStation video games.
Oh sure.
And he goes he opens up a door into a world of one of the first party games like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, that kind of stuff. Oh, it's rad. Oh, he's I love.
Wait, is there a live action actor that plays Aloy?
Yeah.
Is she hot?
I don't know. I think so.
Well,
I mean, they had by
definition.
Well, yeah, but they had a live action trailer for Atreus and Kratos for God of War, and that was rad. That was sick. Where Atreus shoots out an arrow, and you have Kratos doing this big, huge, deep monologue, and then at the end you see all these monsters, and here comes Kratos with his axe about ready to fight these dudes, and it was rad. It was
look at that.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and end this, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening to us. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. What do you guys think about them? About PlayStation not being at E3? This kind of was like the Sean Layden show, really.
Yeah, man.
Sean Layden's been a busy man.
He's making me like him.
No, I love Sean Layden. I've loved Sean Layden since day one. Sean Layden was rad. But, guys, we would love to hear what you guys have to say. What do you guys think? Are they announcing the PS5 at this event called Destination PlayStation or something else? We would love to hear what you guys have to say. But all in all, thank you all for watching so much. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel. It's youtube.com/Brotherhood of Geeks. Press the subscribe button. Also press the bell icon. That way, every time we put up a video, we put up a video. You can also follow us on Twitter and the channel and us on Twitter at Dualshock'd, BOG. That's the name of this PlayStation podcast, Dualshock'd, BOG. You can also watch us stream and play on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Brotherhood of Geeks. And then you can also follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/The Brotherhood of Geeks. Anything else? Anything else from you, Blaze?
You just watch and see if I'm right about that PlayStation 5.
There you go.
If anyone else has had that experience, please, in the comments, I want to know.
Yeah, that would definitely.
And I still want to know what Sora's feet look like.
You're so weird, dude. You're so weird. But guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, live to play. Play together. We'll see you guys next time.